We got a hummingbird trapped in the breezeway. Puppy, we gotta get him out. We gotta get him out. Hey, don't yell, buddy. Dempin. What are you doing, little fella? Did you get stuck? Gotta help you out of here, bud. Little fella's so tired. Come on, dude. Got him trapped. Got him trapped. Oh, I lost him. Trying to help you here. Trying to help you here, bud. Here you go. Here you go, bud. Buddy, bud. Buddy. Buddy, buddy. Okay, you just rest, bud. You catch your breath, and then you keep going. Little cute hummingbird. You're free now, buddy. Okay, puppy, let's get this tour started. Hosta garden out front is looking beautiful right now. Everything is nice and lush and full and putting up flower stalks right now. So that's gonna look nice. Puppy, come on, bud. That's gonna be nice and pretty purple blooms here real soon. It's a little shadowy to see, but you can tell the burning bush is really taking off. There's some weeds in there, but the burning bush pretty much is snuffing out most of them. Got a nice big carpet of this lime green right now. After the lime green, it's gonna autumn off into a red, which is gonna be a real nice transition into the fall. Right beside it, we have a bunch more that has volunteered as well. So the burning bush is getting nice and big right here. I'm leaving it go and just letting it do its thing. We have the knockout roses in full bloom. These knockouts actually got a little bit set back from me pruning them with a frost steel here, but you can see they recovered pretty well and are putting on a lot of color. Our yuccas have big old flower stalks, so that's going to be blooming again this year, right next to the Russian sage. So hopefully we're going to have the red, white, and blue out front here for the 4th of July. That's what they're all there for, so we can have some red, white, and blue color scheme here for the 4th. The front out here is getting some weeds in it, but there's still a lot of perennials coming up that look pretty nice. We have the balloon flower that's putting on a bud right now, and it is lily season, so we are getting a bunch of lilies. This time of year is actually lily season, as I call it here around the property, because we have a lot of lilies, from day lilies, Asiatic lilies, and others that will be blooming all at the same time. So it's pretty much just lilies everywhere, so I call it lily season, and we're on the cusp of lily season right now. We have a nice tall one that's about 4.5 feet tall, maybe even 5 feet tall. Look how big this is next to the Rose of Sharon and the azalea. It is a large yellow Asiatic lily, so this one's going to be putting on some blooms here real soon. This lilac tree died probably, I don't know, 10 years or more ago. It's been a long time since this lilac tree's had any growth on it. And we just pruned it back. You can see, kind of topped it back to an even height, so I can still grow some things up it as a trellis. But since we topped it back this year, it actually shot out a new shoot. So the tree's actually trying to regrow now that we topped it back. That's awesome. Over by this big patch of daylilies, I have some volunteer tomatoes coming up. I believe these are the blueberries tomatoes I had here last year, and I ripped a bunch of them out, but I left a few of the larger ones to kind of fill in the space. And I like to have vegetables with my flowers. I just like having them intermixed. So I like having some tomatoes and vegetables mixed with all my landscape flowers, because a lot of the times the vegetable garden will get hit by the pest or disease, and then a lot of them will be left alone that are intermixed into the landscape. Then I'll still be able to get a harvest, and sometimes even a really late harvest from them. The mailbox area is looking beautiful right now with the clematis all over it in full bloom. We have a variegated hosta at the bottom, and then this bright yellow lily that's just popping off right now, and you can see there is a ton more to go. It's just a gorgeous plant, and it's looking like it's going to have a really healthy year. Same with the one right beside it. This one's going to be a nice tall one. I believe it's yellow, maybe orange, but it's way taller. You can see this one's probably 5 feet. It's 5.5 feet up to here. I'm 6'4", and I am almost eye level with this thing, so it is being massive this year. At the base here we have a chameleon vine, or a chameleon ground cover, and it's blooming right now as well. Little not very showy white flowers, but The foliage is really what you want, and it is blanketed this year. It's its 3rd year planted here, and it's doing very well. It's a perennial in my zone 6 area, and I'm really liking it. I have a second one over here planted at the exact same time, but this one is just starting to take off here. So this is a Chameleon Plant, and it can do sun to shade, but you can see the tag is a little bit past its prime. Also, what I noticed is I have a little sassafras tree. You can see that leaf. That is a sassafras volunteer coming out of here. So I'm gonna actually get in here, dig this up, because I do want a sassafras tree. So that's awesome that it is volunteering for me. I don't have to go buy one, I just have to grow this one out. We move to the other side of the mailbox. You can see it is still looking beautiful. We've got the grass behind it, and on this side we have a red lily. And this is a punchy red. I don't know what names of the lilies they are, but this one is a very bright red. So we have the red on one side and the yellow on the other. It looks really nice this time of year. Look how full and beautiful that is. I was able to get some sunflowers planted out here. I probably should have separated them, but I'm gonna leave them go at this point. I have 2 more over here, and I think I left a big gap in the middle. And then I have some more growing down there as well. So I did get some to come up so far. If you look up here, look at that Royal Empress. That is a beautiful hunk of tree. In the center here, we're still getting some spotty blooms to pop off of the black lace elderberry. Putting on some disc-sized blooms here that look really nice. They're kind of like a black cherry mixed in with a white. Looks really good. We got some buckthorn trying to climb up it. My pride and joy out here is this Royal Empress tree that I started from seed 4 years ago. So this is its 4th growing season coming into it. And look at the size of this trunk down here. My hands are 10 inches across, so this is roughly a 25-inch circumference tree, which is just massive. The root flare is already coming up through the soil, and this trunk is just huge all the way up. It's putting on a lot of leaves right now, and it's just looking really beautiful here. As you can see on this tree, the leaves are a lot smaller than the Empress tree I have out back in the vegetable garden, and that is because it has a ton more leaves to be putting its energy into. So the smaller the Empress tree, if you prune this thing back to about 4 feet every year, you would get massive jungle style leaves. But this one, I wanted to get nice and big, and hopefully if we get a mild enough winter at some point, it'll actually flower in the spring one year. There's not a whole lot out here blooming right now in the front area, but I am working on it. Putting in a whole new garden bed here that I'm still trying to work on a video for. That's about all that's blooming in the front garden right now. So we're gonna head down to the vegetable garden because it's looking just beautiful right now. I've been so happy with the way that the entrance turned out, and the gate and the fence all going around the vegetable garden this year. It's all new this year that I just put in, and I'm really enjoying the way it turned out. We have the garden bed all the way around the outside of the fence. We have some Calla Lily blooming right now. Some portulaca behind it, some snapdragon blooming, and some dahlias putting on some buds. A new addition, I did move this rising sun redbud. I believe it's, yeah, rising sun redbud over here. It was over on the front east line, and it died back about halfway, and it's regenerating. And the one that I put in here died back all the way. So I just replaced it with this one instead of having 2. I moved that one that was here up into the nursery in case it can start regenerating with some roots. I didn't want to just throw it away. But I wanted this tree here instead of hiding over on the east line. It has a lot of nice color on the leaves and foliage, so I just wanted a smaller statured tree to hang out on the corner here that'll flower as well. So I think that's going to work out really well for me here. The garden bed continues around the outside of the fence, and I just got this garden bed edged out. It's not the straightest line, I still need to do some work on it, but just edging the grass away from the garden bed is going to help a lot keeping the weeds out of the mulch, because the weeds and grass just love to go right into the compost and take off. We do have one dahlia. I think this is the only dahlia that survived my wintering over. So hopefully this thing can produce, and we'll see what color that one's gonna be. We have the lupin, the irises, sunflower, zinnias, Shasta daisies, bachelor button, and bubblegum vista petunia all down this line. And it's a little young right now, so nothing's really in full bloom or anything, but there's a lot of perennials here that should establish over the years and turn this bed into a beautiful full sun border. I don't know how well it's coming over on the lens through the camera, but this is actually looking really good to me in person. We have a couple of splashes of color from the dianthus that's still blooming here, putting on some more buds too. Then we got the foliage of the gladiolas and the lilies and the butterfly bush just kind of hanging over everything. And then tucked in deep is the bird bath, which just looks great right now. On the right side of the path we have the hostas, we have some calla lilies that are popping up, and we have the calendula in the back there. Well, my brother's here with some pig feed, so I gotta go unload that and then we'll get back to the tour. It was actually my dad dropping off a bunch of old produce. That's for the pigs and animals. Huh, chickens, you're liking it, aren't you? The chicken some watermelon for this hot day. The pigs got a bunch of stuff in there. They're chowing down on some watermelon, some apples. They're liking it. Gotta do what we can to supplement the feed bill. Back to the vegetable garden. It is just looking beautiful this time of year. We have a beautiful sunny day today, which is just partly cloudy. A lot of small clouds crossing the sky. Oh, there's a big one. But it's casting these shadows across the field that just race on by, and it's just looking beautiful right now. Love it. I did come in here and water yesterday. I could probably come in and pick some of this chard and kale for sure. The lettuce is coming back nicely from whenever we cut it. Might have went a little bit low on the romaine, so yeah, I cut a little bit low on the romaine. It's taking longer to come back, and even some of it died off. But even this, where it looks like it's cut back too far, you can see there's still some leaves growing there. So it might take a little longer to come back, but that'll still come back and start producing some more. But it's really hot, so I'm not too worried about the greens right now. They're mainly for the animals. The beets are coming up. Still have this volunteer squash something in here, so this is definitely beginning to look like a pumpkin. So I'm gonna let it go, and I'm gonna train that thing to come right out of the bed and keep on growing. We have a bunch of carrots in here that are growing, and oh, I know what this is. You see these? This right here, that is a Mexican sour gherkin, so I'm gonna leave that go. That'll vine right out of the carrots and up my trellis, and I'll get some more food out of this place. I love using volunteers throughout the garden. Like this one, gorgeous calendula. My garlic is pushing scapes. So this is the elephant garlic. Look at that structure, gorgeous. The elephant garlic is pushing scapes, so we can harvest these and have these in some dinner tonight. And in about 2 weeks should be harvest time. Let's see, the wind did blow these over. I don't even know. Let's see, these might be kinked already. A couple of these look pretty blown over and might be ready for a harvest. So about 2 weeks after you push scapes on your garlic, it is about ready to harvest. Some of this is looking blown over from the wind that we've been having. We've been having some dry weather with a lot of wind, and hopefully they didn't kink the necks and they can finish off growing, because I don't think they're quite ready yet. The elephant garlic's the only one's actually pushing scapes right now. None of the soft neck garlic is pushing scapes yet. Oh, puppy, it's a beautiful day, huh? Look at this tango leaf lettuce. The red is actually taller than the green now, but this green is huge. It's pushing off some suckers. This is plenty. I could actually harvest this. I'm going to take some of this up to the ducks when we're done here. We have an artichoke in the corner here that looks like it's getting nice and big. Marigolds at the base there. And that red tango leaf lettuce is just beautiful. Hopefully I can get some seeds on it. You can see it's starting to bolt now. You can see the tango is starting to flower here, putting on a lot of buds right now. Hopefully I can get some seed from it before it finishes up. And look at the rest of this bed. Nice and full. Has a bunch of cabbage and broccoli in it. Just looking great. My onions are looking dry, but I did just water these deeply yesterday, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm letting them go. You can see this multi group here that I planted. This was just a bunch of extras and I didn't want to waste them, so I threw them in. You can see they're bulbing up actually all close together like this. They're still bulbing up to be a good salad onion. You could definitely still cut these up, garnish your dinner with them, and get some good onion flavor out of these. The straight bed is doing well. I got this all watered in last night too. I got the pepper thinned back, so now we just have the one pippin pepper, and I topped it. So that's starting to come back, and we'll see how that does. I sowed in a row of radish seeds, and I'm waiting for those to germinate. See all the pumpkins look nice and healthy, getting big. We are getting some bug pressure on these guys, so we'll see how they do. A couple of leaves are wilting down, but I think that's mainly just because of the heat. We have some lilies opening up, some day lilies popping open over here, and that's just the start. You can see we have some Asiatic lilies popping up with some orange and freckles in there. We have some big ones around the back that are going to be yellow. One is already opening up on those, so you can see the yellow with the red splatter all through it. It's going to be a very common one around the property, real beautiful color. And so far, so good on my pumpkin row here. Out here on the squash mound, we have 44 squash planted in, and it's looking nice with all the fabric down and all the holes cut into it. It's looking nice, neat, and organized. And I just watered all these last night as well. Tried to get as much as I could watered last night because there is just no rain in the forecast out here. So we're gonna see if I have to keep, Echo, get off my tarp, silly puppy. So we'll see how much I have to water these. Hopefully the rain's gonna do some good, and hopefully this tarp or this fabric is holding in some moisture as well, because it's too much to water everything out here. My giant pumpkins are coming up and doing well on their mounds too. You can see this one's actually sprawling out, getting some vine to it. So we'll be training these to grow some big pumpkins. My plan with these ones, these are Dill's Atlantic Giants. My plan with these pumpkins are to grow the biggest pumpkin that I can, so I'll be singling them down to one pumpkin per vine for these ones. The ones on the squash mound I'll let go, produce as many as they can. But for these ones, I want them to produce one big one. So I try this every year. I got a 100-pound pumpkin my first year, and I've been chasing that ever since. So hopefully I can do a little bit better this year and get one to the finish line. This is why I love volunteers. All this calendula here is volunteered and just looking beautiful down here in the vegetable garden. As with these, were all volunteers that I pulled out of the J bed when I filled it up and plugged them all into here, and they're doing great as well. I don't know what they are yet, but I'm sure they'll be producing some fruit here soon. Just really happy with the way the vegetable garden turned out this year. It's not where I want to finish it, but there's definitely a lot of progress that was made this year, and we're on the right track. It's looking better and better every time we come down here. The pond that we're building out here is looking nice. It's definitely not finished yet. I'm working on the waterfall right now to get the water flowing the way I want it to. But the flowers all around the bank are looking nice. You can see the yellow lilies are popping off over here. We have the blue Veronica in there with the pink Veronica as well, or Speedwell coming up. Nice orange lily, and then a blanket of yellowish red lilies. Now this is a gorgeous angle of the pond with all the lilies blooming, the Chinese forget-me-not, and then the pink impatiens down there as well. It's hard to get it all on camera, but with your naked eye it looks beautiful up here. The radishes are down here blooming, the onions going to flower, and we still have some lettuce that I'm feeding the ducks. I put a Dichondra Silver Falls in the broken pot here, switched it out from the hyacinths that I had in there before for the spring. And then we have the impatiens going all around the border. And then the Triangularis oxalis is blooming as well, that purple ground cover. And that always comes back looking beautiful every year too. Hopefully we can get it to establish a little bit stronger now that we're done digging around the pond, but we'll see. The Vista petunias are looking beautiful too next to the creeping Jenny. And I just love the way this is looking. There's a lemongrass up there for texture as well. Ow. biting fly. And then the waterfall. It's not finished yet. I'm still working on it, tinkering with it every day and trying to get that thing to run for this weekend. The lilies so far are surviving in here. We still have all 4 containers of lilies. On the left side of the waterfall, we have a marigold, some volunteer sunflowers back there, and we have a dahlia blooming. First little annual dahlia is blooming, and we're getting some wind right now. The portulaca is starting to cover the whole ground over here, and it's blooming nicely too. I've been getting a bunch of strawberries off this buried treasure pot here, and it's been doing pretty well just for being in a pot. Out here in the island garden, it's pretty shady right now, but we have large stalks of yellow lilies that are just coming into flower. Now, it's pretty hard to get these tours to happen when they need to happen with everything blooming at the same time. But if these start blooming here before I get it edited, I'll take some photos and add them in. We got the tall ones in the back that are the yellow ones, and then we have the white one and red one over here. It's a little bit harder to see, but they're looking pretty as well. But we have a white and a red one over here that are looking pretty. I don't like to make everything visible from one spot. I like to be able to walk around the property and discover new little things that you actually have to see from other angles. So that's one of them. The island garden here is a mixed sun and shade. Shade to the left of the path and sun to the right of the path. See, the calla lilies are all popping up. I got it weeded all around them to help them come up. The Empress Woo is already blooming back here, so this one is getting a little bit more sun than the one out front. We also have the candy corn spirea that's blooming, a nice pretty pink color with the, well, it's not really candy corn yellow, but it's definitely a brighter green than other foliage. And then back here beside the blood good Japanese maple, we have Choreopsis coming into flower. So this is going to be a really strong perennial, and it's going to bloom for a really long time here. As with this daisy back here, I believe this is another cream daisy from Proven Winners. I don't remember what kind of cream, but it's definitely Proven Winners daisy here, and it's putting on a lot of buds here to flower soon. Got the little fire hydrangea putting on a lot of buds as well, so we'll see how this one turns out. It will be hydrangea season here coming shortly. Little quick fire. On the back side, the Hedge of Day Lilies is just starting to throw up its first couple blooms as well. So we're not quite into lily season yet, but we are right on the cusp. Along the driveway, we have more groups and groups of daylilies. There's only one grouping that's not blooming this year, and that is because Bub, my brother's dog, dropped a big stone on it from the wall. He was hunting some chipmunks, and he pulled the wall apart and crushed that one. So it's, well, it is putting up maybe a flower stalk right there, so maybe it's just a lot further behind than these other ones. But you can see these other ones are on their 3rd year, and there's a lot of tops on these. So these are going to put on a very beautiful show, and the hostas are not too far behind. What are you doing under here, Pop? You keeping an eye on the ducklings? Hey, ducklings, I forgot to bring you your lettuce. That should be enough. There you go. There you go, ducklings. I know Mumbles loves the greens. Check out this sunflower. Volunteering right in the perfect spot beside this shepherd's hook. Couldn't have placed it better myself. So I think I'm going to take a string and tie it just real loosely to the shepherd's hook to keep it from blowing away too far. I don't want it leaning. I want a nice straight sunflower right here. But look how gorgeous of a positioning that volunteer is. Out here on the corner, we have a Monarda that just started blooming today. This is the first Monarda that I've ever had actually come back and overwinter. So that's awesome that the Monarda is blooming. A little bee balm. Now we're gonna check in on the food forest because we have some berries coming on, and we have a lot of tomatoes and peppers putting on a lot of growth. Plus I got a whole new line of something planted in here. It's starting to come up already. So right here, you can see I have a bunch of beans popping up in a row, going all the way down here. Looking nice and healthy. These are all gonna be bush beans. I don't even know the variety. We got them from an Amish store, but they're all bush variety. Looks like I need to come in here and protect them maybe, because this one looks like it got eaten. So definitely had one get eaten. And I also sowed some sunflowers in here, so that's a small little sunflower popping up with all my beans. On the end of the bean row, I believe I sowed some okra that's also popping up now. So we'll be getting some more green out here in the food forest. So the tomatoes are healthy. They're putting on flowers now. They're a good 18 inches tall, and they're jumping onto the string trellis here that I have for them. My 100-foot potato row that we got planted in a video recently is looking healthy as ever. I do need to come in here and hill these potatoes, get some more straw tucked in around them so there's no sun hitting the actual potato growth. So I will be doing that today for the whole row of potatoes. Just inside that potato row, we have a runner bean that I sowed here, and it's coming up now too. Pull some of this viola away so it's not crowding it. But I put a runner bean here. I can train up this post. And then I sowed some squash. So there's different winter squash and summer squash sown all through here, and a nasturtium even. See, I like putting flowers with my food. And then we have some more squash that I multi-sowed here, and I'll pick the strongest one whenever they all start popping up. You can see they are germinated, so we will be getting some vines growing out here soon. It's just such a fun time of year with everything popping up and growing, everything so healthy. If we could just get some rain to help out with the watering around here, I'd be pretty happy. So the currants are starting to put on a bunch of berries as well right now. So these are looking healthy and good. This is their second or third year, and they're putting on a bunch of berries. I'm not sure how to train these to actually get them into the shape I want them, but I've been cutting them a little bit each year, trying not to take too much from them. But I think this year and next year are going to be big years for them, and they're going to start taking off. I was able to get 6 sweet potatoes off of my aunt and got those planted in here, so we'll see how they do. I do have some damage right there from some rabbits or something eating them. So we'll see how they do, if they can outgrow what the rabbits are going to be eating. There's not a whole lot of growth on my peppers out here, so I'll just show you a little bit. They are growing, but there's not a lot going on. The tomatoes on my wigwam are getting nice and big. I'm trying to trellis them around just to hold them in place so they don't fly around in the wind too much. But I need to come in here, and it looks like I missed a couple suckers on this one. I did go through and get all my suckers because I'm trying to grow these just one stem, but looks like I forgot a few. You got to be on these during this hot time of year because they grow fast. A lot of the blackberries are going to flower and starting to actually form some berries already. You can see right there they're putting them on, and hopefully we'll be getting some blackberries this year that I'll be able to eat before the birds do. We also have a little red raspberry bush here putting on a bunch of little red raspberries. That one looks good. That one's pretty good. Maybe not quite ready. Let it go a little bit longer. Get this dandelion out of here. So it's just a little plant, but it's shooting up a runner. And you know, these will get real big here over the next coming years. It's not filled up with berries out here, but they do multiply pretty rapidly, so this will fill up here in no time. Actually, sometime, maybe like 2 or 3 years, this will be nice and full. Look at this. So I'm just noticing something came and topped all my raspberry here. I'm not sure what that would be. I don't know what eats raspberries, but this is black raspberries. So you don't want to be picking these ones red. You got to wait till these ones turn black. I just noticed behind the lily hedge on the back of the island, we have the fern growing with an astilbe blooming right there and a peace lily bloom. I love finding things tucked in the back. So my plan here at the pergola was to do a jungle theme, and it really just has not happened yet. So I have some gladiolas in here. This is a volunteer tulip poplar. That's awesome. I love tulip poplar. It's one of my favorite trees. It has such a pretty leaf, but we will be saving this one. I have the variegated feather reed grass in its full glory right now. We have a dark suit or a black suit, something like that, hydrangea, so it has a darker purplish foliage. I don't see any flower buds on it yet, so we'll see how this one does. Behind that is a little lime hydrangea, and I'm hoping this one puts on a nice bloom show. It looks like it's just starting out right now. But the update out here is I got the Calla Lily Row in right there. You can see those will get established and be perennialized right here. We even have a little bloom on one of them. Beautiful. Behind that, I did plug in some squash over here, if I can focus. Bugs are getting to it, but there's a little squash there. One there, one there. These are, I believe, mini harvest blend pumpkins. So we'll see what we get out of them. You can see the bugs are really hitting this one too. It's like Swiss cheese. It's got to be the cucumber beetles. Got a whole patch of Mexican sour gherkin right there. I'm going to train up the trellis and we'll be getting plenty of food off of those volunteers. We also have some gourds that I plugged in here to climb the trellis. They're not quite ready to climb, but this hot weather we're having is going to put these up quickly. We have some more going around here. These are caveman club and snake gourds and just any type of gourd seed that I still had left over I put in out here. We have a eggplant, black beauty eggplant, that doesn't seem to have done anything since I put it in the ground here. A bunch of volunteer calendula down here along the side, one blooming. And we're on the back side of the archway of the silver lace vine that is going into flower right now, which is just beautiful. Underneath this beautiful blue spruce my dad brought home from Maine years and years ago, we have all the trash that we hide behind the shed. But besides that, we have this beautiful Echinacea plant that's about 5 feet tall. Has such a blue-green foliage on the leaf that you just don't see anywhere else. And it is putting on really tall flower buds right now. It's going to be, I think, purple Echinacea, and it's a good 5 feet tall, and I'm loving it right where it is. One of the most beautiful things here on the property is the silver lace arch that's really coming into its own right now. You can see it is just full of blooms. Trying to bring it down this side a little bit. I got to wrap some of those longer ones up, but this archway is just beautiful. Beside that is the honeysuckle that's still blooming and throwing off fragrance all around the property. Usually have a robin in here. Oh, there's baby robins. I don't want to scare them out if they're not ready to fletch. Come around here and we can see this baby robin peeking out. Hi, buddy. How you doing? That's going to be all for this week 5 garden tours. Come back next week for even more lilies blooming. Make sure you subscribe down below so you're notified whenever that video goes up. I am taking tours every week, but I'm just not editing them as quick as I'd like to. So make sure you're subscribed and you can get the notification whenever all the videos come out. You can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.